Let's see how they look.
It looks great.
They do look great. They do look very good.
I'm just a lady.
So Josh, real quick, I could talk all day about everything I think you do or know that you do, but in a quick synopsis, could you give everybody kind of just a little background on yourself? Which sucks to ever ask anybody to do, so I apologize.
That's the worst question I ever get asked. Like, what do you do? Because I never know. Like, entrepreneur is the worst word that's ever been thrown around because I could sell jewelry out of the back of my car and be, no offense to anybody that sells jewelry out of the back of their car, but
Popco.
it's probably Popco. It's tough because it's like there's no overarching thing for what I do because I mean I own the Ritz and I own Noir and I own Parlor and the Strange Unusual and Strange Brew and I played with a band called Motionless and White for a while. It's hard to be like I'm a venue owner, but I'm also a soda company owner, and I sell dead stuff, and so it's a very I don't know. I never know how to answer that question.
Right. Well, I think you just summed up at least all the things that make up what you do. So I think
dumbass. Yeah.
I hate asking anybody to ever do that, but
you did.
I had the word entrepreneur in my description of you, so I'm glad I didn't.
Oh yeah, what was in your description of me?
Josh is a successful musician.
Nice.
Had a successful touring career and is now a serial entrepreneur.
I wish I was a serial killer. That's next.
That actually is question 4.
Okay, good.
How do you get away with it? So Josh, many artists kind of dream of building their own empire, right? What's the first step that you would give somebody advice in any career that they're doing? Because while you've done a lot of things, you've had a level of success in each of them, be it at different levels, but you're not afraid to take that risk. And what's like to get them over that first step of doing something?
I mean, step 1 is getting a taller table so my rolls aren't like sitting like this.
Shorter chairs, Vinny.
Yeah, I feel horrible.
Should we stand?
No, that's even worse. I don't know. It's so difficult because I feel like everyone thinks you have to know a lot of things and be knowledgeable in things to start them. And I'm a spaghetti at the wall kind of guy. Like every single thing I've done has been. I'm a yes man. If anybody in here knows me, it's my best and worst quality. I will always say yes, and don't ask me anything, please. So it comes out of survival mode and being scared, and also not. I never want to do worse than what I've done. So it's always honestly out of survival and just. I never ask myself this. If I say that I'm going to do something, I just do it without thinking, which horrible thing and great thing, because the only person that can stop you, and I know it's very cliche, is yourself. So I just go forward whether I have no money or no time or time. It's always just going forward and taking that first little tiny step towards. Once you get your foot stuck in the fucking mud, you can't pull it. You're just fucked. You're fucked. Right. You got to go forward, don't you? If I say something publicly, I'm like, well, I fucked myself, and I have to go forward with it. So that's my usual jump forward is I try to say it publicly-ish because then I'm fucked, and I got to go. I can't take it back.
Yeah, which I think is one of the things that, so I've known Josh forever since
I was a small boy.
Yeah, 16. Not that small. But
he knew me when I was a small boy. Creep.
We're the same age-ish. So, but one of the things I've always admired was your ability to do that, because I am kind of the opposite, where I'm a little bit more of a pragmatist. So, like, I want everything to be in line before I do it, and that bites me in the ass a lot. But with your approach, which I, as I said, hugely admire, what's like a major lesson you learned from that?
Don't trust guys in suits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't. I mean, that is honestly, it's be careful who you get in bed with is the biggest risk, the biggest thing I've fucked with, and honestly, that goes with partners and partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guys in suits.
Guys in suits. Yeah, guys in suits. Hey, listen.
No, I agree. And from moving on from that though. How do your various experiences, because the way I want to do with this panel is that, like, I know a lot of people put all their eggs in one basket of, like, here at this particular panel, like everybody's a musician probably, right? That's why you're here. But like, not everybody's gonna like the success rate of a musician to get to like even a level where you're making a sustainable income is a 1 in a million thing. But that's why we love it, and that's why we all do it. But I've seen you utilize your experiences from that to be so good at many different things in many different arenas. How do you think that the skills that you learned from your time being a musician have transitioned over to everything else you do?
Honestly, being a musician has been legit the best thing that's ever happened to me in the business sense. I graduated high school. I missed like 90 days of my senior year. I'm real dumb. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's great. But being in a band, it teaches you literally every single thing you need to know about owning your own business, whether it's merchandising, branding, QuickBooks, learning how to, work with people around you and like build that team. And honestly, everyone's always like, "Are you pissed at like the motionless thing?" And like, no, I quit on my own terms. But also, I would never take that away from my life because it's taught me, 10 years of touring has taught me everything that I know now. Absolutely everything. The life lessons that I've learned touring. I mean, I started touring when I was 16 years old. Like, I'm pushing 40 these days, so it's a crazy thing to think back. But like everything I've learned into starting business and the friends that I've made along those lines were the most important things of my life. So when everyone goes, "Should I start a band?" I go, absolutely. Whether you play to one person or 50,000 people, you learn how to be timely. You have a person on stage. You have to play at 7:00. You have to be there at 7:00. If you're late, you're an asshole, and you get scolded. And for the next one, you're there on time. You have to learn how to produce merchandise and sell merchandise. So you become a salesman based on inside of your job. You have to learn how to market your business and build a brand, which is one of the most. If anybody's ever seen an interview of me, is like branding is the most important thing, and your band it's a brand. So it's literally helped. It was my education was being in a band.
So you talked about merchandise there a little bit, and we all know that's such an important revenue stream for musicians and bands at every level. You hear, I think it's like the most token line that every musician says now is that they're a touring T-shirt salesman, right? Like I hear everybody from like Zach Bryan to like Alice Cooper says that. Like that's like such a cliche thing. But through that, be it like while you're in the band or post band or in between, like trying to support the band, do you have any advice for diversification of revenue streams of things that can help support you being in like while you're in the band or like a side hustle?
I mean, it's different. It's difficult because each person is different. I mean, I started the Strange and Unusual when I think I've owned Strange for like 12 years. I mean, you have to hustle. I mean, I grew up in a trailer park. I was poor. I didn't have like family that had money, so I had to figure out how to make money. And that was me. Like, kids would be like, "My parents own a slaughter yard in western Missouri. I'll bring you a bunch of skulls." And that happened. And I would like then drive to New York City and be like, "All right, I'm gonna sell this skull for $100." And I paid $5 for it. And like, and this is crazy. Like, we were on a label at the time, and I was still like hustling to make $50, $100, $20. Like, if I literally had this conversation with someone yesterday. The guy is in, he has a job and he's in a band, and he goes, "Well, do I quit my job?" And I go, "You'd be fucking dumb to quit your job. Like, you should find a job or a side hustle that works alongside of what you do." There's brands like, where did I work? I worked at Kmart when I was 16. It was really cool. And they let me leave to go play shows and come back. So find a person like, bars are really good at that. I'm sure Vinny like has musicians, and Kester has musicians, and they go out and they play shows. And so that's you have to diversify yourself, or you're gonna have a panic attack and not be able to afford to live. When I was playing with Motionless, I lived with our old drummer Angelo, and we lived above his parents, and they charged us $400 a month for rent, and I had to move out because I couldn't afford it. I had to sleep on my grandmother's couch. It was really cool. But yeah, music doesn't make you any money, so sorry. But everything else around it can.
Right. So talking about that, and because we're talking about kind of the other avenues, what's the biggest shift in mindset that is required from the solely focusing on the creative part of being in the band or being the promoter or the sound guy or whatever, to how do you switch your brain? Because I think they're totally opposite sides of our brain, to overhead, profit and loss
You
sheets.
can't. That's the biggest issue. Everyone tries to separate them. Do not. Like, everyone tries to separate business from creative, and that's, I think, my biggest attribute. Is I combine them. I get creative when, when I was buying all those bands for that Warped Tour show, I had to get creative. Like, that was $150,000 worth of guarantees. And when you buy shows, you have to give 50%. And at the time, some asshole stole a whole bunch of money from me, and I didn't have that. So I had to get creative on how to basically beg and be like, cool, like, give me, like, so I think a big thing is you shouldn't separate them. And that's my opinion, but I think separating, that's what then grows you to go to one side or the other side, and that's when you lose what you have and what you've grown. Once you start going right a little bit heavier, you're going to start going right heavily. And it's difficult. I mean, I'm in survival mode every single day of my life, and it's interesting, but it keeps it fun, and it lets you, when you lose a whole lot of money, it lets you be creative. If I had $1 million in my bank account right now, I'd be all right, well, I can buy 45 shows for the Ritz and not worry about it, and then it's on autopilot. But we're a venue. As Vinny would know, as anybody that owns a venue, your day to day, your week to week, your month to month, you figure it out, and you have to get creative with those things so it exercises both sides. So me personally, I don't separate them. I keep them together because it lets me grow internally and externally, I think, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense to me, and you really covered my next question, which was how do you balance stability and that want.
I don't balance it.
Yeah,
I am
exactly.
a manic human being, and I have no issue being like, I'm a psychopath. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, so I can't like escape it. Every day is like, all right, well, I'm gonna jump off the top of the building, or I'm gonna go get a hot dog.
From Sheets, right?
Hey, everyone was like, did you really get a tattoo? And I said, fuck yeah, I'm a piece of shit. So
I didn't question it for a second. I knew it was real. Can you talk about the importance, because as you've done all these things, and something that I've really admired is watching you build your team. And I think you have some really great people around you that I have watched them grow into roles and see you really take care of and care for your employees. But can you talk about building that team and how important that is for, be it a venue or an artist from that side, because you guys had a team when you were touring. How important is that team?
I do nothing. A couple of people in this room have worked with me before. Is everybody around is always hustle bustle, and I walk in and I give a thumbs up. But it's difficult if you don't find everyone goes, how do you sleep? And I go, great, 8 hours a night. It's fucking 6. Let's be realistic. I sleep great, and it's amazing because the people that have been put in those positions really make it easy for me to not have to worry about it. And I don't ever, I would say 8 out of 10 times I don't hire anybody on skill, which is probably terrible, but I hire everybody on how I meet them. In the first 5 seconds, I know whether I'm going to hate you, you're going to stay with me for a while, or if you're just there for the day. But yeah, I'm a very like energy-based human being where it's like, if you don't vibe with our team and our little thing, it's like, get the fuck out. Like, I heard this for the first time yesterday or the day before. Erin, who's been with me, she owns The Strange and Unusual with me, and she's always been in all of my business. She says, we call it the JBCU, the Josh Balz Cinematic Universe. And I go, that's the best thing I've ever heard in my life, because that's my circle. It all like, you work at Strange, you work at Ritz, you work at Noir, you do events for Parlor, you do this and do that. Like, we all stay in this little cult. Everyone always, it's like, oh, you have a cult. And I said, probably, I don't know. It's
Definitely.
I haven't killed anybody yet.
Fair.
But I mean, there's been some team people that I've lost that we regret, and there's things that you move and you try to make the right decisions, but it's difficult because again, it's everyone goes like, well, you make the decisions. I go, no, the team makes the decisions. Like, if you ever see anything noir and creative, like, I have this much input. I go, like we have this one thing coming out which I appreciate. It's called Dr. Frankenweenie's Monster. It's coming out at Noir, just so you know. It's a half-pound hot dog that has like it has like a green coleslaw over, and then we're gonna wrap bacon around it so it looks like the hot dog is wrapped into. And I'm making an autopsy table. This is a real thing, by the way. I'm making an autopsy table, and then when it gets carried to your table, there's gonna be a taser under the thing, so it's gonna sound like and then it's gonna get chopped on the table. So it was me just being like, I want a giant hot dog, and it's literally like, my life is a giant joke, and it's in the best. Everything you see is like it derives from like us being dumb. And I'm like, all right, I want a giant hot dog, and so we were talking about like, I think Ranch Wagon did like a Frankenweenie, and I was like, well, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I was like, how do we make our version of that? And we were at an Indian place, and we were like, all right, Dr. Frankenweenie's Monster is hilarious. So that's how everything stems in I don't even know what we're talking about or where this question is, but
Teams.
oh, but I also I listen. I work with everybody. Our little groups is like we all turn and we all do that thing. Like, if I made all the decisions, it would suck. It'd be boring. It'd be stupid. And it's like, I always say, if you have ideas, bring them to me, and I'll help you bring them to fruition. And I like idea people and then I also like to bring their ideas to fruition because it's super important to me. Because if it's always my ideas, it's going to be the same little path, and it's going to get boring. So. You know, some of them have horrible ideas, and we just don't do those. But no, it's a group effort, and if it wasn't for the people that surround me, I would still live in the trailer park. Nothing against trailer parks. I would love to live back in a trailer park, to be honest.
So you touched a little bit to piggyback off of that, but you touched earlier on brand, and you know, one of the things that I've admired, I don't know, I wasn't admiring you when you were 16, but since that time,
Debatable.
what I have admired is you have stayed true, and it's evolved, and obviously like who you are as 16, you know, with your goth kit to being, you know, almost 40 now and everything you're doing. The brand there's been a distinct brand, I feel, that is you and your own, and a personal brand.
Yeah.
And I think that's a buzzword with like Gary Vee yelling about it all the time. But like you were doing this pre that, right? And I think it's genuine, and that's why I think it works. But can you talk about that branding a little bit, and how making it not genuine can be avoided? Because I'm sure there's stuff that like people come to you that's absolutely ridiculous and wouldn't make sense for you. That's more like kitsch and like it would hurt you.
Yeah.
Versus staying true to it and making the decisions of what is right for you based on that.
Yeah. That would have been great. I think branding is the most important thing, and I've honestly learned it from a band. Like, if any of you guys just don't know who Slipknot is, you're dumb and you should get out. But Slipknot brands each member individually, and I think that's the most important thing. And whenever I do anything with, like, I did a music podcast for a while, and that was my biggest thing. I was like, if you're not taking the Slipknot method, you're outrageous. Like, if you're just focusing on the singer, you're lost. You're a fool. Like, and that's what we did. And Motionless is like, we made each one of us a brand, and it was all our personal identities. And, you know, I grew up, like, my dad was listening to Sabbath. He was a military dude, had tattoos, like, skulls were all over the house, like, muscle cars. Like, that's literally been my DNA since I was born. So I've veered a version of my dad. You know, unfortunately, he's dead as fuck, but, sorry. It's fine.
I know how to take it.
So is my mom. It's all right. They're both dead. But it's crazy. Like, that's the brand of, I've always just been, everyone goes, how do you think of anything? And how do you do this thing? It's just literally me, just a version of dumb shit that's just bouncing around in my head. And then I just get super passionate about it and super, like, hyper focused on random, very weird things that I think would be really fun and cool. And like, Noir stemmed because I wanted to. So Joe did Noir Nights with me. He was the first one to do it with me. And I was like, hey, I have this weird idea. I want to do this goth night. And he's like, that sounds, I don't think my wife's going to let me do that. And she came.
She let me do 3.
Yeah, she showed up. It stopped when he unfortunately had a dumb kid, which is ridiculous. Anybody has children, just throw them out. But it was based on like, hey, I want a cool place to hang out and like not have to feel like I have to sit and drink or do drugs or do this thing. Like I want to, I like to. We all like to look at beautiful women. Or men. That's great. So it was nice to like sit and create this thing, but it was just a dumb idea that we were just like, all right, let's figure it out. And it just stemmed on that, and everything that I've done has stemmed on just a section of who I am. And I always think of like, man, maybe I should go left and create something to see if, because I've been very fortunate, and everything I've created, people have supported very heavily. And I was like, I should go, and this is a very true thing. I want to open a country bar so bad. One, I don't know if you've seen me on Instagram. I've deep dove
90s country, yeah.
into country. I saw Sierra Farrell last week, and she is, an angel. I want to do a country bar, and I was like, if that would be like the real like proper foot down, if I can create something that's outside of my brand, and it still be heavily supported, and see if I'm actually good at branding, or if it's just I've created a cult of people that have just will passionately support everything that I do, and I just don't know. But yeah, branding is literally the most important thing, and it's very difficult because a lot of people will see, and I've seen it all the time, is like, I started an oddity store 12 years ago. There was 3 oddity stores in the entire United States. It was mine, Obscura in New York, and Love to Death in San Francisco. There's now an oddity store in every town, sometimes 2, and it's like
3 in Harrisburg. There's
so many, and it's a double-edged sword. Like, I hate it and I love it because it's like becomes oversaturated. But if you're not turning and you're not rebranding and doing the stuff, it's like it becomes sticky.
But what I think is interesting, so I do a lot of events that have nothing to do with this, and I do a lot with vendors. So I end up running into the various oddity people.
Yeah.
And I like to ask them, and they'll all cite you, at least in this area. They'll be like, oh, I know Josh, or I know of Josh, or like that's why I started this, So it definitely branches out as well.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like just starting brands and building that brand. But yeah, I mean it's literally just an extension of who I am. So there's no rhyme or reason. It's just a reflection of me. And like, my house is black. I have a casket car. I have dead shit in my house. Like, everything I do is just like, even like the Ritz. Like, if you look at it, everything has. Yeah. I love those eras of the Victorian era, and it turned that way. And noir is just again, it's just my house with food in it. Like, it's realistic. Yeah. Same. Strange is literally looks. It's my house just looks like Strange. So, I'm just. There's no like crazy thing. It's just I like spooky shit, but I don't like kitschy spooky shit.
So I just want to like give an affirmation to the idea of like knowing your own brand too. So like I'm a promoter, and like I love to bring people's ideas to life, like you were saying. Like that's like my favorite thing. So I'll never forget, I was sitting at my desk at a college campus, and Josh called me, and he said, I want to do this thing called Noir Nights. And I was like, okay, let me step out of my office here, because I had him on speakerphone, and I knew.
Talk about boobs?
Yeah. So I said, let me step outside. I took a walk, and he explained it to me, and I was like, I don't, like, that's not, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so far outside of my custom, but I was like, he had such an idea, and it was vivid, that I was like, that'll work. And he's like, and then he said to me, he said, nobody can come in unless they're in black. I was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, what if they, like, he's like, if they have white shoes on, we're turning them away at the door. And I was like, shit, like, dude, like, that's $15, because I'm thinking the promoter mindset. And then I was like, or maybe more, I forget what we charged. So I was like, but then I started thinking about it. Well, we did the first one. I was very nervous going into it. And then, like, people, like, left and went and got changed if they had to. You know what I mean? But it drew, for then the next 3, it drove such an exclusivity thing that it completely changed the way I thought of every event I ever did after that. And that was based on you, first of all, knowing it. Like what knowing your brand or the things associated with it, yeah. Where it would be like, oh, we're driving this. And for the first one, you're like, I don't care. I want to just put on the best event possible.
Yeah.
And there was trapeze artists, guys. There was metal things. It was It was a lot. It's to the point where I left my cell phone charger at home by accident. I called my father and I said, I need you to come to the door. I need you to leave the charger at the door and leave. Do not, under any circumstances, come through this front door. Not only did he come through the front door, he brought my mother with him. My mother was saying the rosary on her way out the door. It was a sight, right? And my dad was like a pig in shit. He was like, he didn't know what to do. But my mother was, but it was awesome to the point where like then, we got into them, like my French teacher from high school was there. Like I got to see all these different things and we created that really cool thing. But then I loved watching you pivot that into a full concept restaurant, which was incredible. And I just, an affirmation of staying true to that brand though, and then evolving it to go further, right? You tested the market and then did it.
I mean, to go back on that is with the branding situation is, I've traveled a lot, and I always tell people, I'm like, if you want to open a restaurant, go to 500 restaurants, and see what you like, see what you don't like. I've been to, so there's this place in LA called Bar Sinister, and there's two there's a couple other ones, and one had like people dancing in cages, one had black only, one had no photography, one had this style, and I was like, well, I've been to all of them, and I took each best thing that I liked and created one. And that's the same with even the oddity stores. Like I love antique stores, but you know what I sometimes love and hate about antique stores is like you have to dig for 45 minutes to find things sometimes. And sometimes I love the hunt, but sometimes I'm like, I want to see shit and see how it's displayed in this, and it's like, so I've been a different, and I'm like, well, I like how this one does that. So it's most things that I do are just things that I've seen that I've loved and made my version. And the biggest thing is like, I love this, and I love this, and how do I make this me? And that was with restaurants. I've never opened a restaurant in my life, and I opened Noir, and I was like, yeah. Same thing with Strange. I've never opened a retail place, and I just did it. And same thing with Motionless. As I go back, and they're like, "Can you play keyboards?" I went, "Yes." I had no clue how to play. I had a light up keyboard at this is a very true story. I don't know how many people know about this. I had a light up keyboard, and I learned for release when I was like 13, 12. I don't know. And I was like, I mean, back then Motionless keys were D. That's it. And it was like one of those things where I was like, yeah, of course I can play keyboard. I'm not going to look like an idiot. I was an idiot. And that's basically I just said yes, and it was like, I'll figure it out. And I always do. Like, and it's like you have an idea and you have a brand and you have a thing and you build from that, and that's where everything I've done has stemmed from. I mean, yes, I've have knowledge in little things. I've never owned a venue before, and I never booked a show. I've never marketed a show. I was on the other side, but I knew all the things. And it's always like, as long as you're like, I'm not gonna sleep. I'm gonna figure out until it's good. Like you're fucking golden. I mean, I know nothing, and it's just stemmed into like, I learn along the way. I also ask many fucking questions. I'm never afraid to be like, I don't know this. Like, if I'm dumb, I'm gonna let you know I'm dumb, and it doesn't hinder me. Like, I'll take that knowledge from YouTube, from a person, from anything. So even with like my chefs, like I know nothing about the kitchen. I've said hot dog too many times, so I gotta dial it back. I can microwave a hot dog, and I have a fine dining chef at my restaurant. So why would I come in there and be like, this is how it's gonna be done? I listen to him and I learn, and I can like blanch things and cook. I can cook on the line now, which is crazy, because if you guys have to eat anything I've touched, I feel bad for you. It's disgusting. I don't wash my hands.
We talk a little bit about controlling the narrative and controlling, what's out there. So like one thing I, inadvertently or advertently learned from you, and again, scared the shit out of me because it went against everything that I always thought about events, right? So if I would throw an event, I would want 5 million photographers there. I would want as much getting out there about it as possible. And when we did Noir the first time, you said no. You said no cell phones. You weren't allowed to bring your cell phone in. No photography whatsoever except for one. Yeah. We're going to hire a photographer.
I think it was Keith. Was it Keith?
It was Keith, yeah.
Nice.
Yep. And we're going to control, even from Keith, what images go out there. And we're going to look at images, and we're going to control what the perception of this event is when it goes out there.
Yeah.
And also, I think, but down to other things, like I remember the you ate a black cheeseburger and got world famous for it, right?
I forgot about that.
The Black Whopper, right?
Yeah.
That sticks in my head all the time.
I
Like,
forgot about that.
who else eats a cheeseburger and gets a national article written about them?
I
And then
forgot about
to the sheet stuff that you're doing, right, with them, like in the, like that jacket is awesome,
Yeah.
right? Like, and that's all stuff that you like have. I'm sure there were other ideas or things, but you were able to control and reel it in and control that narrative, and how important that is. Like,
Content's king.
Yeah.
I mean, but everyone just wants to throw everything at the fucking like. Again, I go back from my spaghetti things. I say throw shit at the wall, but when it comes to how the vision of your thing is, like, I'm very, very specific on what gets posted, how it gets posted, how it looks, how it's things, and like, it's come to the point where, people trust me, which also blows my mind because even with it goes to Sheets is like, they hit me up and they let me do whatever I want, which is absurd. They're $1 billion brand, and they're like, and I was like, can I like do this? And they're like, oh fuck yeah, and I'm like, that's so dumb. But like they trust the thing, and like even with like Hot Topic and like a couple other brands that I've been working with, but controlling the narrative is super important. I mean, content is there's people in this room that you should pay to do those things, or like collab with them or work with them, and not just throw shit at the wall when it comes to the vision of your brand, because unfortunately everyone thinks they're a photographer, but some of their pictures fucking suck, and it's horrible. It's you have to be. How do you be a nice guy but also go no? I mean, for the Ritz, I only had one photographer for a long time. It was Keith, and then I opened it up to Rich, and then I opened it up to Dom, and it was at first I had to figure out how to politely say go fuck yourself, because I didn't know their work at first, and I was like, I'm not just gonna like give you a press pass and like let you post like here's a picture of this, and then in the back I see like my drywall that I know that I hid purposefully from a 10-foot thing to be, because if you turn on the lights on any of my businesses, bad, real bad. So I know that most photographers that know what they're doing, they're focusing on what they're doing. So it is controlling from, and I'm also a very controlling person, which is very terrible. But yeah, controlling that narrative and how it reaches from 1, 2, 3. I mean, I've opened that a little bit, but
yeah,
very, very important.
I mean, that changed the game for us for emo night. Like, in the beginning, it was like, well, we'll have whoever, but like once it became Keith Perks,
Yeah.
and then it became, like people like Keith learned the event, like he learned like you don't see, maybe you see more pictures of Dave than you do of Hirsch and I, right? Like nobody wants to see us. My mention, like people want to see themselves in our photos, right? So like, we found a formula, and through Keith we developed that, and that like it was for a time like people just wanted to see themselves after like
you want to see
events,
fucking hot people. Let's be real. Like, it's unfortunate. Don't be ugly. It's actually I've learned some horrible things about a lot of different things, and it's very I've watched content teams go out, and I've watched the director of marketing be like, find hot people, and I go, oh my god. I was like, you can't say that. He's like, no fat people, and I went, oh, you can't say that. I was like, I get it. That's shitty. You're a piece of shit. Like that's fucked up. And like controlling that thing, and I'm like, how do you even do that? Like, how do you even like? And then you like don't get redneck people and don't get this. And I'm like, that's fucking crazy. And I go, then you think about it and you go, how do you justify how it is? Like, do you want to? Because everyone wants to hang out with beautiful people. You think in your head, which is stupid and dumb. And that's why you see half the time it's like, oh, this like, yeah. And I'm like, that person didn't even want to be there. I was like, they're actually not having fun.
Yeah, well, so I like this photo. Keith always tries that at the mouth, but I like the photo where like somebody's going nuts and the person next to them's like.
Those are my favorite.
Now
like,
I use those to shame that person. Like not public, like I don't say their name, but I'll be like it's a comment post that goes up on ours like, this person's not having fun, huh? And then like everybody comments underneath it. But you just it's how you use it too, right? Yeah. But that changed the game completely to the point where like, and we all have them like your normie friends who like don't understand or have anything to do with it. But like once every 10 years, they're like, we all want to come to an emo night, and I'm like, all right, I guess like come to it. You're gonna hate it, but like come. And like the only thing that my buddies, like 5 of my buddies who had never been to anything creatively have done in my life, which is fine also, like don't expect everybody to love what you love, came to one of our shows last summer, and all they wanted, they were like, "Can we get one of those Keith Perks photos?" And Keith like took it and texted it.
Yeah.
And they were like, "It doesn't say Keith Perks." It like he didn't have his watermark on it, and they didn't think it was like good enough.
That's fair.
So like that was like such a like I was like, "Fuck!" Like that's part of our brand now is that Keith takes our photos, at least in Northeast PA.
Well, I mean, yeah.
That, like-
I remember back in Warped Tour, like Adam Elmakias.
Yep.
Like there was always like that dude you looked for that was like the Warped Tour photographer
Yep.
or the this photographer. Like, it's very, it's a part of the brand. It's a part of what you do, and I mean, like, it's important.
But that switched, and you know, I don't like to give my friends credit for anything.
Fair. Yeah.
But you switched that at kind of my brain with controlling the photo, because like our first couple emo nights, like Keith was there, but then there'd just be like, you know, backs of people. It was a lot of photos of like the back of people's heads and like arms up, and it's like that doesn't really do anything. So it's like close.
People get mad when I don't share their photos.
Yeah.
They get real mad, and why didn't you share my photo? I was like, hey, it sucked.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
100%.
Like, and also I'm not like oversaturating with like you want those key like moments.
Yeah.
So if I don't share your photo, probably because it sucks.
So I want to give everybody an opportunity here because we're coming up on it. But does anybody have any questions for Josh? Any?
Nice. Shit.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, please. There's no limit to questions that you guys are allowed to ask.
I have so many questions all the time. So just like kind of what you're talking about before, like our as a business. So we're in our first year of that, and like it's scary when like you have to buy a new PA system and it's too much, you know, and it's like where your money comes from. I guess, do you have any kind of just generalized advice for somebody who they're doing it, but they know they could be doing it?
That's you off the top being like, you know, let's say a PA. I'm guessing you do something with.
We're DJs.
All right. So, do you buy it brand new?
Yeah.
Where'd you buy it from?
Guitar Center, but we got the open box deal, so it was like $100 off the set.
So I mean that for me is the biggest thing is I go and I'll message Guitar Center, I'll message AMS, I'll message, you know, there's a tons of local music around this and that. Like my biggest strength is my network, like all of my friends, all of those things. Like you're fool to even pay $100 off. Like you can get that system for half off if you really, you know, you create friends inside of companies and you go, you don't have to be a giant brand to get brands to support you. You know, like, hey, we're gonna put your logo on your thing. Like, can we get a 20% off? Can we get a 10% off? It never hurts to ask. Like, I ask every question. Now American Musical Supply gives me everything for like 80% off. And that was based on just like becoming friends with the guy who runs the company. And that's literally all. It had nothing to do with like who I was or what I did. It was like creating those friendships. And I think that's a lot of people overlook how strong of a support system they have under them and around them. You know, whether it be Popco, I call him for this favor, call Joe for this favor, call Vinny for this favor, call Rich for this favor. Like, I have no issue asking because what they're gonna say, like, go fuck yourself. Like, cool. Like, there's 9 other companies that will support you, especially locally. There's a lot of great music companies around here, like, or go to Kester. That idiot's around here. I'm sure he has like old shit that he's getting rid of, and you don't have to buy brand new. The sound system that's in Ritz right now is 30 years old. Well, the mains, the subs, I had to buy new because first show we blew them up because they were so old. And Traverse the Abyss has ruined them twice. But it's a little bit, you know. But we had to buy new subs. And the mains are 30 years old. They were actually the mains at the Ritz are from Warped Tour. They were from the Monster stage, and I like bought them off a friend that had them in storage, and I was like, these will work for now until we get a new system. And they've, you know, 2 years in, we only lost some subs, but the biggest one is the network around you and asking for favors and building, and no one's gonna say no. Like, there's people in this room that I've done 19 favors for that I'm like, cool, you're my friend, like, it's whatever. Like, my biggest positive thing is just be fucking nice to people and support them. They're going to support you and help you find those deals. And like, you can't be putting out of pocket. Like, if I was to do the Ritz right and correctly, like from top dollar, I would spend $1 million. You know, million plus. I probably did spend.
No, 100%. I mean,
Unfortunately, I did, but
yeah,
but I could have spent $5 million. You know, and
No, I mean, same thing. Like, I owned a music venue for a little while. And the same thing, like, when we started pricing out, like, actually getting stuff, and this is, like, my partner at the time also ran a stage on Warped Tour, so, like, the equipment that was available to us was out on the road 3 months, a year or whatever. So we were able to cut a deal where we went to a company, and they did an install, and it was like, well, you just have to pay our guy to run it. So there was like a little VIG on top of that.
Yep.
So like there's just creative ways to do things. So it was like we were paying that off over time. They had equipment sitting in a shed that wasn't getting used.
And that's where it goes
So you
back
do
to
it,
that
yeah.
first question of separating creative
Yeah.
with like P&Ls and business is like, there's like, you can spend no money
Yeah.
and be creative. Like, I've started most of my businesses with no money and been terrified because you have to pay your bills every month. But there's definitely creative ways to, but no one thinks of those.
Yeah. And so I don't know DJ stuff. I apologize here, like as far as equipment goes, right?
Oh, he doesn't, but he has a DJ ran emo night. That's nice that he does nothing.
No, I don't know. Like I don't know brands. So like I
Is
know
that Hirsch? Yeah.
Yeah, that's Hirsch's job. I know the word CDJ.
They're very
Right?
expensive.
So, like,
yeah, that's
so
it.
I get CDJ a lot when I work with artists, right? So like, there's a lot of venues that own those CDJs, right? So if you develop a good relationship with that, they may be only using those a couple nights a week. So like, there's a conversation to be had there, like, hey, we'll trade a night where we come in and we're your entertainment, but we have this other show like where you don't have a show. Like, let us use those to do this. Like, there's creative ways I think you go about doing that, or also, you'd be surprised how often those particular change and how particular the like DJ from South Carolina that was on a reality show, how particular they are about what they use. So venues upgrade a lot. So like developing a network where it's like you could buy like stuff that they just like can't use anymore or rent from them. Yeah, exactly. Rent it for $25 a night. They're at least putting something back in. So I think there's a lot of ways to go about that.
Yeah, I mean, getting in a business, just getting creative with also business, but also not thinking stressfully, that's the hardest thing. Is how do you? Because when you stress, you don't think creatively because you're like, how do I make money? How do I make money? How do I survive?
Yeah.
So you have to like, whatever's gonna happen. If you're gonna get fucked, you're gonna get fucked.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of, and I've had a very difficult part with that in the last 6 months, almost a year. Of separating horrible shit then into just keeping those combined of like, and it is very, very difficult because if you have kids, you have cars, you have a house, you have a girlfriend, you have this, it's hard to be like, go home and be like, how are we going to pay our bills, you know? And it's terrifying, but it is getting creative and going outside of a scope of like, I'm sure the speakers that you got, I guarantee you probably could have gotten them 40% cheaper.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
We booked a really big show, like 2 days.
Must be nice to be famous. Go on.
Big for us.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of, we need it today.
Yeah. I mean, you should have gotten them and then returned them. That's what I would do.
That's
What I would have. If it's a big, I'm going to say this out loud. Hopefully, no one from Guitar Center is here, but I've bought speakers and returned them
Yeah,
all
I've
the
done it
time.
like three or four times in my life I've done that
Yeah,
too. For
I
a gig
had
to
a.
do.
Who do I have recently? Oh, I had like Jesse's girl, and they're like, we want this many wireless mics. I was like, I don't have that, so I went to Guitar Center and bought one, and I'm probably going to return it this week.
Yeah.
So forgive me.
Okay.
He stole that guy's wallet,
Yeah.
and he has returned.
He now has a Guitar Center card. But yeah, that's I think that's huge. Big box. I mean, whatever. Corporations take advantage of them.
That's true. I mean, they're
Don't do it to like music go around. But
No, I'm
you
going
know.
there after this, actually.
Nice.
Yeah. I need a new keyboard.
Yeah.
Go
So-
ahead.
I think we might have time for like one more. If anybody has any more questions. Anybody? Yeah.
Sir?
Squid.
Do you have like a new venture a new business venture that you're going into maybe within the next couple months to a year, or are you focusing heavily where you have like I know you mentioned the country bar, but like maybe aside from that, do you have anything weird in your element that you're looking for?
Unfortunately, I mean, the question he asked is if I have anything else that I'm working on in the next few months, or if I'm just going to focus on the things that I have. I try to sell everything daily, I think. Have a mental breakdown. I go, I'm going to sell everything. But at the end of the day, it's kind of, I fucking love being manic and crazy. And I am working on like 6 more businesses simultaneously with what I'm doing now. And probably within, I'd say probably by like early next year, there'll be a new thing that will pop up that I have been working on. And it's just tough. I try to make that decision of like, I've been going hard for 20 years. And it's crazy to say that because I feel like I'm also 20 years old. And I'm, pushing 40, which is horrible. But I'm like, well, I'm going to take a year off. A month ago, I almost sold the Ritz. I almost sold Strange. I almost sold all of my shares in Parlor. Literally within like, I've talked to Popco about it. I was like, I'm losing my fucking mind. I was like, unfortunately, it's because of people that put me in a fucking hole. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things that I am working on that will, again, I want to give more people experiences in Northeast PA, and I think I think finally people are catching up. Other businesses are catching up and building those experiences themselves. But unfortunately, I'm never going to stop until which hopefully.
Well, Josh, thank you. One. Oh, no.
Joe tried to shade me
Nice.
in the very
Jesus
beginning
Christ.
here about sending him to a strip club. And then he said that he did 3 events with half-naked women with Josh.
Number one,
I just want to set the record
we actually never talked about the half-naked women, John.
We didn't.
We didn't.
We didn't.
Those were secret events.
Women, they always had their clothes on.
They always had clothes on.
Always.
It's actually against the law in Pennsylvania for
Yep.
people to be naked with alcohol served, John.
And also, you were sent to the strip club to take photos for like an evening recap, which you're doing now for your emo nights. So I think I set you up on a good path.
Honestly, strip clubs make me feel so
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
So imagine this.
I'm just saying.
I've gone twice.
If
in my
anybody
life.
missed it, when I was 18 years old, I interned for The Weekender. And my first day, first hour, now I was a writing and graphic design intern. John handed me a camera and sent me to a strip club to cover a beer pong tournament.
I love that.
And my college said, your internship's done.
Nice.
That was it. So that was the end of it.
I was there.
I'm
feel-
never listening to the Popco Project ever again.
Well, that's fair. Strip clubs make me feel real weird. It's weird.
Yeah, this was a classy event with glass boxes and wax, John. All right?
Mother, father, and wife, why did she put her
Someone did
My
pull their
wife was
boobs out
there.
once.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have to put clothes on. As much as I would love you to not have clothes on.
My wife actually didn't stop it because of that. She stopped it because she walked in and there was like a 30, 40-foot high ceiling in the vault, the Ritz
Yeah,
or
Stage West.
Stage
Yeah,
West.
yeah.
And there was a trapeze ring hanging from it. And there was a person in a metal bikini swinging from it with a metal grinder shooting sparks everywhere. And she said, we do not have the insurance for this.
Steve let me get away with murder.
Yeah,
I had
100%.
fire
It was-
in Stage West.
Yeah, there was fire. It was
He was like, I'm selling the building. I was like, can I have fire? And he went, yep.
Yeah.
And I
we
went,
like zip
"Nice."
tied a 800-pound cross like above people's heads. It was
Out of all, to be honest,
But it was
you know,
great.
to finish, that's the most hate we've ever gotten. I had
Cross,
it was, titties and asses and dicks and people walking around on leashes, but we hung a giant cross upside down, and that's what was like the most
Yeah,
like,
you were pissed
you
about
can't do that. I was like, at Noir I had a kink dinner the other night, and I was serving in a ski mask, and I put some dude's food on the ground. I said, eat it, and he left. I was like, sir. I said, sir, you're at a dinner, a kink dinner. I had people strapped to things, and you were there. I had dudes walking around on leashes with no shirts on, and I put his dinner. He must have been a dom, How dare you? How dare I? He left a shitty review too, and I was like, cool. So if you
gotta
guys can leave a
repost
good
that
reviews to my businesses, please do. And I won't serve you food off the floor. Maybe.
Matt, coming across that with no context would be amazing. Owner put the food on the floor and told me to eat it. With no context to that, it's gonna.
I
it's gonna
would
go
respond to, I actually have a billboard right now outside of Vape Boss that says, someone came in with a child to Noir, and if any of you have ever been to Noir, I have very...
not for children.
It's not for children. We have curses and shit on TVs, and they left it not family friendly, 1 star. I took out a billboard that's outside of Vape Boss that says, it's the review, and it says, don't bring your baby into Noir.
That's awesome.
That's live right now. Like I traded Nick from Big Boss, advertising on a show, and he did that, and I went.
That's awesome.
I was like, "Will you put this up?" And he went.
That's
I haven't
awesome.
posted it. I should. I forgot.
It's incredible. But yeah, so I mean, I think the lesson of this is, Josh, branding.
Branding. That's it.
Don't overthink it. Stay true to yourself.
If you have a dumb idea, just go.
Yeah. And
That's
don't listen to the
literally it.
Popcorn Project. So, no,
Especially my
I'm
episode.
just kidding. I love John. Sometimes. Don't listen to the Popcorn Project.
He's saying the
Um,
name. That's just as
Exactly,
good.
John. Come on, that's what we're saying. No, but can everybody give Josh a round of applause, please? I just want to say thank you. I know how busy you are, and it means a lot. How busy John and Rich are to be here. So we're gonna take like a literal 3-minute break, and then we'll have the booking panel up here in just a minute. All right, so don't go anywhere. Grab yourself some donuts in the back. Get your goodie bags, your passes. Dave's here to help you. There's some T-shirts back there, very cool T-shirts.
Is there any hot dogs?
There are no hot dogs yet. The
I'm jumping off the
kitchen
top of the
doesn't open
building.
till 2. You got free hot dogs for life, right?
That's actually happening.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh my god. I'm old. These chairs with this table, not good.